2023 meeting of the Albany School Board to order. We're looking for an approval of the minutes from 11/8/22. Can we get a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I will second that. Any discussion, concerns, changes? I have none, seeing none. Vote to approve?
I vote yes.
I vote as well. Item 3 on the agenda, any public comment? Seeing none, board member comment? None. We signed the checks and the manifest, that's all taken care of. Business affairs, attendance at meetings.
You had 7, Dan had 7 at the last time, so I don't know.
What did we do? Let's see. I would have gone to any SAU meeting, and that's about it, if there was one. I can't remember. I don't know. It was kind of break.
You had
with the
one
holidays,
in
right?
December.
Yeah.
The budget,
Okay. Yeah.
you were there for
Yeah.
that.
I don't think I was
I
there.
don't think you were
I
there
don't
for that
think
one.
Curtis was there, I think.
Was there one in November, Kevin? I have one here is 11/10 at 6 p.m.
You correct. Yep,
Okay,
that's right.
were you that one as well?
I would have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 2 for you and 1 for you and 1 for Curtis.
Okay. And there wasn't an executive meeting that night, was there?
No.
Okay.
I know that we had discussed at one of the last meetings about changing this tally system of meetings to be more in line with what other towns are doing. I don't know, when would be the appropriate time to like make a motion to change that?
We should probably send it to a study committee and then we can evaluate it and then,
Get some public input.
Yeah.
yeah, we'll put a teletalk out. I mean, whatever, if you want, I think it's only fair to discuss it when Curtis is here.
Right, yeah, sure, and I think Curtis, last time he was here, I'm sure he was on board with that too, I don't want to speak
Well,
for
the
him.
guys that don't come are always in favor of compensated, same as the people that do.
But I don't know if should we make it something for like the next fiscal that's coming up at the town meeting, would that be appropriate?
You can do it anytime you want. I mean, you can
I
put
don't
it as
think
an
the amount
agenda
would
item.
change. Whatever did you-
No,
You have
but why don't-
$1,600. Typically, other
Yeah.
districts will do a little bit more for the chair.
Well, I'm
So
thinking
you could
maybe
do
we
6,
could,
5, 5 if you
we,
wanted.
is it too late to have something put in, do we have to put anything into the school meeting?
I mean, we could do that, yeah, we can do that tonight, the last day is
Yeah.
the 7th, right? You would,
Okay, well then.
I don't know if you want to go to the public for a vote. on
No.
that. I mean, it's up to you guys.
No, I was thinking just putting it in there as information that we changed.
well, typically those are things that the people have to vote on. So I think it would be kind of weird just to put something in like that.
You could make a motion when Curtis is here, next
Yeah.
meeting.
Okay,
Make a motion, put a proposal. I'll come up with a couple different options,
okay, sounds good.
and then you can
Yeah.
do with it as you like.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay, so we have a review of draft number 1 of the 23-24 proposed budget.
Let me just take a note. So you folks have copies of the budget, and anybody else has hard copies here? People want those. And then there's also this document that I usually do on an annual basis for you guys, kind of giving you a little historical perspective. Take a couple of those, keep one. And that just gives you number of students, percentages, tax rates, and all those things. So yes, we'll go through the budget, if you will. You have your, obviously, most of your costs are very fixed costs. And you can take a look at your elementary tuition is up, middle school tuition is down, and your high school, middle school is up, and high school is down. Obviously, it fluctuates based upon the ADM and in the equalized valuation. So if you flip to the back page, it will tell you, you're down a couple students and overall tuition is up. That has a percentage breakdown. The biggest thing is the middle school tuition. So you have a little bit more, another percentage or so at the middle school level. Their enrollment is declined a little bit more, so their per pupil cost goes up. Good news is the high school dropped pretty significantly you also have less students there. So the per pupil for the high school dropped down.
So.
Yep.
This year, we're paying $600 at the elementary school.
Correct.
It's jumping up almost $200,000. We've lost 10 students there.
No, 2.
Since when?
Last year, if you take a look on this sheet right here, Tim. Because remember, those are, you're using last year's number of students. So as of June 30th, 2022, you had 42.72 students. You may have less students this year.
We do.
Right. That will go into next year's calculation.
So the 24, 25.
That's correct.
So we're going up 2 students and that's costing us $200,000?
Yeah.
Why?
Because of the way the tuition calculations were done. There are less students. So there wasn't a correlative reduction in the operating budget with the number of students in decline. That's really what it comes down to.
That's staggering.
Yeah. The bonds, obviously, the high school bond continues to creep down, as do the middle and the high school bond go down. The next year will be the last year of the high school, middle school bond in the budget, so that will go away. And then you'll see the trust funds are the same trust funds that, it's the same, basically the same number each year. You do have a decline in special education, and you'll see line 12, the tuition line for special ed drops significantly, about $100,000 there. We budget for services for students, and those are known by the IEPs of the students projecting forward. Psych services, minor changes there. Speech services actually dropped down about close to $5,000. OT, PT services dropped about $2,500. And then you get to school board services, lines 16 through 22, and those are essentially the same moving forward. SAU's up a couple $100, about $1,000. And then you slip to your transportation. Again, that's based upon the contract that you have with Eldridge. And that gets you the overall budget. And overall, it's when you go to just the general fund total without any other parts, it's up 0.78 of 1%. And if you throw in the grants, you'll see it's actually decreased. But that includes the special ed reserve fund. So if you take that out, you're up about 1.5% over last year.
Okay, where is the line for the special ed reserve fund? I gotta look at this.
So you have 140, well, on
Is it on here?
page 2, you
Yep.
put in 15,000 last year.
Right.
So that really is, if you take that out and you do an apples to apples comparison, it's up about 1.5%.
Okay, because I'm not seeing a real number on that. I'm just seeing the contribution that we made.
Yeah, so you have $141,552 in there right
Okay.
now.
Give me that again, 141.
141,552, and that's That's real time, pretty close to it.
Okay. Okay, so on item 5C, for the proposed warrant articles, if we go over those now, and then there's a discussion further on in the meeting about wanting to place something on there, we can go back to it.
So, right,
Okay.
so right now, you have a draft of the warrant articles.
Yep.
And basically, this goes through the process. Tonight, you're recommending things to go to a public hearing.
Right.
So you can add things here, you can actually add things after the, well, you'd have to, if you're gonna add another article, you have to do it before February
February
7th, right? Yeah,
Okay.
but you could do that tonight, you could do that, somebody could do it by petition
If you
article.
want to look at that, that's some of the statistics that Kevin provides to us, percentages and stuff. Yeah, so
Is it the same?
Yeah, it's just one sheet, double sided.
Okay, so item 5C, we'll go over the proposed warrant articles. Inhabitants of the School District of Albany, County of Carroll, State of New Hampshire, qualified to vote on district affairs, notified to vote the school district offices at the Town Hall in Albany on the 14th day of March 2023. Polls will open at 10 a.m., not closed before 6 p.m. Article 1, to elect a moderator for the ensuing year. Article 2, to elect a clerk for the ensuing year. Article 3, to elect one member of the school board for the ensuing 3 years. Is that,
I think that's Curtis's.
is it Curtis' position?
I believe so.
Article 4, to elect a treasurer for the ensuing year. You're also notified to meet at the same place at 7 p.m. to act on the following subjects. Article 6, to see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of, what's the bottom number?
$1,715,520.
1,900,000, what is it?
715.
Yep.
520.
$1,900,000.
$715,520.
So there's no 9 between the 1 and the 7.
There's no 9 at all.
Okay, I thought that's what you were saying. I thought you were saying 1 9. Okay.
1,715,000.
Okay. All right. Okay. See if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,715,520 for the support of schools, for the payment of salaries for the school district officials and agents, and for the payment of the statutory obligations of the district with number offsetting for the grants. Do you have that?
That'd be $28,480.
$28,480 offsetting this amount from various grants. This article does not include appropriations voted in other warrant articles. Majority vote required, recommended by the school board.
So somebody would need to make a motion to place those numbers on
Okay,
Article 6.
I will make a motion to place those numbers on Article 6 for the upcoming school meeting.
I will second it. Any discussion? Hearing none. Vote on the Article 6.
I will vote yes on that.
Also in favor. Article 7, to see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of, typically this is $15,000 to be placed in the capital reserve fund for special ed previously established for this purpose. Majority vote required.
I will make a motion to appropriate $15,000 for the special education fund to be placed in the capital reserve fund for special education.
I I am not going to second that. I don't think that we should be putting any money into that. We have over $140,000 in there right now. I mean, I think that's quite a bit of money.
It is, but I think the one unknown of this budget is special education, and it would not take a significant one student with some serious problems or anything like that could, I would hate to have to go back and have a special article presented to the town to raise the funds for special education if something like that were to occur. I think that's the whole point of keeping that balance at a good level.
I don't disagree. I think at $140,000, I don't think 15,000 is going to make that much difference. I think if we had 155 in there, we'd still be coming back to the town if this cost were that significant.
Okay.
So we're gonna remove Article 7, we won't place that on.
I'm going to vote yes on it, but if
Well,
Tim's
if
going to
there's
vote no,
second, then
yeah.
there's no.
So we'll just have to remove that. Yeah.
Okay, and then Article 8 is to transact any other business that may legally come before this meeting. Okay, Kevin, superintendent's report?
Were you gonna add another
I am, but
later on?
that's going to come after the school options committee report.
Okay. So I just have a couple of things. If you go to the SU9 website, we updated all the ESSER plan funds. We had to reallocate for Conway, some for Albany. You guys have such little money. We really didn't make any changes there, but there were some pretty significant changes. So if you go to the site, you'll be able to see Conway, Bartlett, and Albany. Other than that, a couple things that will be coming up. You do have the SAU9 Executive Board on February 1st, and then there's a full SAU9 board on the 9th.
Right.
In between then, you probably will be receiving a email with my evaluation. I do encourage everybody who's a board member to go through that process. So look for that, and then I think it goes back to Jack. The instructions will come from Nancy, but my thing is just encourage you folks to fill those things out. Other than that, it's just budget time for everybody, and we'll see where it goes.
Do we have a balance for us on the ESSER 2 and 3 funds? Was
Yeah.
any money expended?
Very little, hundreds of dollars. You still have to probably, I think it's actually on the website.
Okay.
So I can give you full accounting for it, but you guys didn't have too much money that
Okay.
was there. And you're receiving, because the kids do go to the Conway schools, you're receiving the benefit of all those programs and all those things. So
Right.
that's in play.
I know at the last meeting you had brought up something about putting something out there for people to contact
We did.
your office.
We
Okay.
sent it out.
Yeah.
We
Nothing.
had a couple of people actually respond.
Okay.
And we set them up with some tutoring.
Okay, item 7, any other business? 7A is the school calendar. We don't vote on that.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
We could discuss the school. That's always fun.
The school calendar.
Death by committee.
Isn't
on
it?
that one, too.
Kevin's favorite topic of all time.
And 7B, under any other business, is a report from the Albany School Options Committee. So we have Chuck and Ann Merrow, and myself and Dan, we're all part of the School Options Committee, and it's kind of crunch time now because of where we are with our tuition contract, case 6. And I will turn it over to Chuck or Ann to report to the board.
So we have done some work, talking to various towns, as you know. And I think we talked to Madison, and we are going to recommend a memorandum of understanding. So we've gone through, they've given us data, a calculation per kid costs. We've gone through all the kind of the matrix that we did previously with all the other schools, and I think we'd like to talk with them further on recommending we go with Madison possibly for K through 6.
Okay.
Okay.
Any questions, concerns, and
So this,
It's not a contract.
right. So this, when would this occur?
When the 3 years from
it
now.
would be the school year starting in 2026.
26, 27, September.
Right.
Um, I don't think I have any questions. I mean, I think I've got pretty much, know.
We went through all the,
Yeah.
the bus, the special ed,
Right.
the tuition, what else did we go through?
Well, I mean, just to give you some figures that we've worked out, Madison has given us a tuition calculation worksheet that they're using. And I mean, basically, it would come down to about a savings of about $270,000 a year for the town of Albany. That not being the driving force. If you look at some of the school testing and score data there, it's pretty close in, I think in math scores, Madison was below Conway L. In science and in English language arts, they were higher than Conway L. Specifically. And then the state average is figured in there as well. So I have to say that I made 3 attempts to reach out to Conway. Basically, it boiled down to, for the school options committee, Madison or Conway. Some of the other options were just not viable.
Yeah.
Bartlett is
We've
too
tried
far.
to meet with them a bunch of times, right?
Right.
We've gotten nowhere.
Well, and we did. We started out having conversation with them, and then Joe Lentini didn't get reelected, and no one kind of picked up the ball. So I approached Joe Mosca, and I was told Randy Davison and himself were going to be conducting the conversations. I never heard from him. And then I went to another meeting. I saw Joe at an SAU 9 meeting, and I mentioned something to him, and he said he would be in touch with me. And then I went to another meeting in December, and I spoke under public comment to the Conway board and asked if someone was going to be reaching out to us, and I was told they were. I never heard anything from them. So I'm not sure if we accept the recommendation, how we would word the warrant article, if it would just be worded in the sense that we're looking to give notice to Conway that we will not be pursuing the contract, that we will be terminating the contract in 2026 with Conway, or if we should word it in such a way that we're going to commit to Madison at this time. I think that might be a little premature.
So a warrant article, if you're going to see, it would be an advisory warrant article, right? That's what it would be. Ultimately, the school board would determine whether you want to opt out of Conway or not. It makes sense if you're going to you want to have the public input on this and see where it goes from there. The only time you would have a warrant article with Madison is if you're obligating future dollars for a number of years, right? So if you have an agreement with Madison, then you would put approval of a tuition contract with Madison on your article.
Okay.
So for example, Jackson does that with Bartlett, right? So they have an agreement for their 6th grade students to go to Bartlett. They usually do a 3-year agreement. And at the end of the 3rd year, they always have an article on Jackson and on Bartlett to get approved by both sides. And that would be the way that it would work. So you could put an article on there. I guess the question you'd want to define is how you want to word that and what you're asking for from the town of Albany people, right? Should Albany opt out of the tuition agreement at the end of 2026? If that's the question that you're asking.
Well, I mean, it's not. If it can be simply advisory, I would prefer that to just let them know that as a result of, the work of the school options committee, a recommendation has been made and the school board is going forward with terminating the contract with the 3-year window period. And then if we get asked at that point through discussion, why and what is going to be happening, where are we going to go, we can, divulge information, but I wouldn't be looking to ask their permission unless that's necessary.
I don't know. I think you'd probably want to get some public input at some point
Mhm.
as far as, I mean, Dan's got kids in the school. I don't know if you still do at the elementary school, but
Not anymore at the elementary, but.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that I would want a full school board at this point to take a vote and see where we're at as far as a school board. Before we commit, like for instance tonight, about putting anything on the warrant.
If you did as an advisory, you could say, should the town of Albany, should the Albany School Board notify Conway that I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out is what is the question that, because if you're just notifying
Yeah.
the town, then you could do it as a
I would
hearing,
be in favor
right?
of that. I think, yeah, I would like to hear from the town about, to get the input of the town on where they're at as far as, I mean, if it's overwhelmingly for it, then we know where to go. If it's overwhelmingly against it, that would give the board direction on what we should pursue.
The board ultimately can make that decision.
Sure.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
That discussion, or if it gets put on the warrant article, the vote for it happens when?
At your March
At the March
meeting.
meeting.
That's
Yeah. And again, it's non-binding because ultimately the
Yeah.
board is elected to do those things.
understood.
So
Like
we
that
could,
would
we
be
could
the-
designate it as a non-binding, advisory,
Yeah, it would simply
article.
say, should the Albany School District terminate the contract for tuition in case it, run it by, legal, take a look at it. And then you'd get a feel for it, right? So if you get 400 people who vote and it's 300 to say, absolutely, let's go and go to Madison, then that gives you pretty clear direction.
Yeah, I'm just
If it
wondering
goes the other way,
how
then it gives you
specific,
some.
what we would want to put in as far as numbers. I mean, just a blanket statement that, then you're just saying, well, leaving it up to the people of the town, do we want to go for that? Or do we want to put something in that non-binding question about considering that there would be substantial savings of something,
So my understanding of the warrant articles is that you only mention numbers if you're going to be asking the town to approve.
Right.
of the
Well, but it
numbers.
wouldn't be approving any numbers, it would just be
No,
simply
correct.
stating number.
I
Correct.
think, to be fair, having done this for a while, there are going to be people on both sides who are going to need information from you folks.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, what about my kid who blah, blah,
Exactly.
blah? Oh, what about this? What about that? My advice to you folks is if you opt out, you're right. You want the fail safe of, you need to have a home for your kids, one place or another, right? Because you can't have
That's the ultimate
a
responsibility of the
right.
school board.
You have to have some type of agreement in there, whether it's, you get something in place with Madison to say, now, does that mean that negotiations end with Conway? No. I mean, there's still opportunity when, could be 2 years from now, could be in the third year that these towns come together and Conway gets their act together and says, this is what we're going to do. But if not, then you can move in that direction. So, yeah. So simply by asking the question, it is a non-binding question. It's an advisory question for you folks because you're the decision makers.
So would this be on, when the voters go to the school meeting, would this be a ballot issue, or would this be on this, like when you go into the vote, you vote for the town issues, you vote for the school issues?
It would go as Article 7
Yeah.
on the school district warrant. And it would simply say, should the town of Albany,
Yeah.
Conway did this or
No,
5
what I'm
years with
asking is.
closing an
Would it be a
elementary.
ballot issue or would it be a floor issue?
Depends on how you choose to do it. You could make the decision tonight to say, we're going to send Conway a notification that we're opting out of the K-6 tuition contract. You could wait until June to do that. That's up to you folks. If you go beyond June into July, then you're obligated for one more year, right?
Right, but I think my question is if we do put a non-binding question on the warrant, is that something, how would that be tallied? Would it be tallied as a voice vote or would it be
The
tallied?
same way the
That's
rest of
a
them
ballot.
are,
Rest
probably
of
just a hand vote. with-
It would be a hand vote, okay, that
If there's a
that's
majority,
that
a
was my
large
question.
majority, they probably won't count the votes.
Right.
If it's close, they may count each person.
Okay, I just didn't know if that would be in the ballot box or would it be
Somebody may petition and say,
to have it,
I petition for a secret ballot too, which
right,
I think somebody probably would on a vote like this.
okay.
And they just have to have, what, 10 signatures and
Yeah.
bring it up to the moderator.
So if it doesn't go on to a warrant article, then we as the board make the decision anyway,
You
whether
could.
to opt out of the contract.
I would recommend at least having a public hearing though. I would. That's my recommendation.
Yeah,
I would think so, I think, I would agree with that.
And you have a public hearing coming up in February.
Jim Kern, Madison. My years of history with our board and with boards, I agree with Kevin 100%, public hearing. And I think having a public hearing prior to it being on any warrant, so even if it's on the warrant, but having a public hearing so that you can actually have a captive audience to answer those questions bi-directionally prior to them voting. Because I think what you're gonna run into is a lot of parents who are heated about the issue in one way or another, but you're also gonna have your townspeople who are historically, we've always done it this way. So I think if you just have it to a ballot without having a public hearing first, it could get a little hairy, and maybe not go with the way you would like it to go or think it should go. But I think having a public hearing allows you a little bit more banter back and forth as to what's good and what's not good.
Yeah, I agree that the public has to
Absolutely,
know about this and weigh in on it, 100%.
Yeah.
My objectors, I just didn't understand the process in terms of, I was always under the impression that it had to go to a warrant and be approved by the townspeople. But in looking at the contracts, I see that they are signed by the respective school boards.
When
So-
you're obligating monies in the future,
Right.
that's where you have to really have the townspeople weigh in on it.
Right.
Like
So-
you could do 1-year agreements with towns, and you guys can do that. You have to educate your kids, and you can have a 1-year agreement with Madison if it expires.
Okay. So seeing that the cutoff for warrant articles is February 7th, which is a week before our public hearing, I think it would be prudent to put a non-binding warrant article on and then hold a public hearing as well.
wouldn't the public hearing come before
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
Well-
Before the town meeting.
before the town meeting?
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
And after the public hearing, you can either
Yeah, that would make sense.
pull it
to me.
off or you
That
can,
would make sense to
you
me.
could enhance it a little
I
bit
would-
too. if you
I
But
want.
we can't add it on completely because February 7th is the cutoff.
Right, that's right. Yeah.
So we couldn't add it then.
No,
So
but-
we could take it off.
Now, the public hearing, should we put something on the agenda for the public hearing? As, to kind
Absolutely. I
of
would-
noticing,
yeah.
or how do we go about
I
that?
think you'd have to do that.
Cautionary tale, I think you want to let lots of people know.
Yeah, as many people as possible. What would be the best method of doing that?
How do we normally publicize?
I haven't really participated in a public hearing like that. I mean, this is,
Well, look at what
As far as
happened
the
with
school.
closing of a school in Conway, right? Once the word gets out, you're gonna get lots of people there.
So I mean, I believe the process is just the notification in the newspaper. And it's probably on the town website for, under, you know, the agenda for the school board, the public hearing.
and that's in February.
That's February 14th. And
And then we can make a determination whether to put anything on the,
we have to make the determination by February 7th to put something on. As Kevin said, we can enhance it or we can remove it completely on the 14th.
Can't really change the language, but, because they have to get approved at the state level too.
Right.
So somebody would need to make a motion to place an article on the warrant. And then we can draft out a little language on there.
Okay. And I've written something down in anticipation of this. Oh, here it is, right here. So I wasn't sure if there was going to have to be a cost element to it. Just rough language to see if the school district will vote to notify Conway School District of its intent to terminate the existing tuition contract agreement by June 30th, 2023.
And you probably want to
K6.
put K6 in there. Yeah. So it would be to see if
The school district
the residents of Albany
will vote to notify the Conway School District of its intent to terminate the existing K-6 tuition contract agreement. I guess you can put it on there between Albany and and Conway by June 30, 2023.
words, if you're given a, well, transcribe it onto it. See if the residents will vote to notify the council to terminate a K6 tuition agreement that expires in June of
23.
Tim,
Yes.
would you want to add something like to the effect of 3 years from now so that people don't think in June 2023 they're not bother going?
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking that in my head,
3-year notice.
or per the existing tuition contract. Or this would provide a 3-year notice per the existing tuition contract with Conway.
I think I've captured it. And if I have liberty to, like I said, make sure it passes muster with the legal side of things and I would, any edits I would send back to you folks, but
Yeah,
I just
and
wanna make
the
sure
fact
it's-
that it would be non-binding
Yeah.
will be stipulated in there as well.
yeah, this is advisory.
So is that something we would have to add tonight and read into?
No, I'll put a note that says, advisory article. Only, yeah.
So Dan and I don't need to vote on that tonight to add it to the,
Yes,
We
yes.
would need to vote to add it in.
yes, that's
We're
what I
not
was
voting
asking.
in favor or anything.
No.
Okay.
I agree, just to put it in. Okay, so Article 7 on the Albany School District warrant, the state of New Hampshire, I will refer to Superintendent Richard to read the verbiage of Article 7 as proposed.
So there was a motion to place it on there?
Do you want to read it first, Dan?
Because it's, yeah, just to get the discussion kind of formalized, somebody needs to make a motion to add this to the article. We'll read it and then
So
you can
this
vote
would,
to
okay,
place it
so
on
this
there.
would be Article 8 or,
Article 7, you removed the current Article 7 already.
okay, because Article 7 was to vote and raise the appropriate sum
For special ed.
for special ed.
Right. So that one's removed. So this becomes the new articles.
Oh, I see, okay, yes, okay, yep, nope.
All right, I will make a motion to place the.
Okay.
Article
Okay,
7
I
on
will
the warrant.
second it.
Okay. Now, the article reads, to see if the residents of Albany will vote to notify the Conway School District to terminate the K-6 tuition agreement that expires in June of 2026. This would provide 3-year notice as written in the existing contract with Conway. This is an advisory article only.
Okay. Any discussion on that or concerns? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
I'll vote yes.
I will also vote to approve. Okay,
So it just, if I might,
yes,
is there a written report or a summary? Because I would imagine I will be receiving, or I can direct all inquiries back to you.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there anything for the minutes to go in from the ASOC committee?
Do you have anything?
Like,
Summary report, executive summary
Oh,
report, or anything like that?
no, not at this time.
Okay, 7C, the next meeting is February 14th, 2023 at 5:30 PM. That's a board meeting and budget hearing. That will be the public hearing.
What's the date on that?
February 14th,
Valentine's Day, buddy.
5:30 PM.
That's here.
Yes.
And the school district annual meeting is on March 14th, 2023 at 7 PM. Item 8, public comment. No public comment. We have no non-public for this evening. We need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I will second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, 6:14.
Wow. Thank you guys for coming out. I was actually talking